So a while back, we took data that looked something like this. We had our 3 plants we collected data for, and we had our 3 fields wherein we took the data. So what you're going to do is you're just going to open up Excel like this, and you're basically just going to copy down the same thing that you had there. So here's plant 1, plant 2, plant 3, put field 1, there was open, closed, total, move this guy over, field 2, just copy these, put field 3. Okay, and so basically, once I move these down, basically we've just recreated what we had over here, the same data table that you had. All right, and so you had, I guess it's slightly different. I guess there's like average percent open and some other stuff, but we can add that later. And so you guys had data, and we'll just make up some data points. I don't remember what they look like. Please do not use these. These are totally bogus. And if you use them, I'll kind of know immediately. All right, cool. So there's some bogus data, and what you're going to do is, right now we're going to be writing an Excel function. Let me zoom in just a bit. I'm going to show you how to write an Excel function, which hopefully will be useful. Sorry. So here we have or open and closed, and we need to figure out what our total number was from that. So you go here and you hit equals sum. So you just type in equals sum, and then you put in open parentheses. So we'll do that one more time. You type in equals sum, and you put in open parentheses, and then you just select the 2 pieces of data that you want to sum up, and you hit return. So in this particular plant, in field 1, there were 10 total stomata. We're going to do the same thing here. You're going to type in equals sum, hit shift 9 to make an open parentheses, and select these 2, and it gives you the total right there. There's another way that we can do this. We could say equals, because that's how you write a function in Excel. So we'll say equals sum, that's what we want to do. We tell it equals sum, and you type in D6 colon, which means through E6. So sum up everything between E6 and D6, and there's a total of 10 there. Perfect. I feel like I'm missing a detail somewhere. Percent open, yeah, that's something I missed. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to go insert, and it gives us a new column here. Let me zoom out a little bit. We'll just go to 200%. There we go, that's better. So it's a little bit closer. So we'll type in percent open here. Remember, we just added a column. If you want, you can just kind of erase everything and move it over. It doesn't matter. But remember that the formula for percent open is just the number open divided by the total. So in order to get that, we're going to say equals D4, or you could say equals and then just click on D4. And then you're going to hit the slash. The slash signifies divided by. So we're going to take open divided by total, which is F4, and 0.8. 0.8 is the percentage of the number open. We're going to do that same thing here for plant 2. We're going to say equals, say D5 divided by F5. It's like if you guys ever played Battleship when you were kids, these things live in a grid system, and you want to take the data that lives in cell D5 and divide it by the data that lives in cell E5. Perfect. And we could do the same thing down here. We could say equals D6 divided by F6 if we wanted, or we can get fancy. So you go back up here to where that formula was written, and you see how it's a white cross right now. You take it to the bottom right-hand corner and wait for it to turn into a black cross. Let's zoom in again. Go back So you see how it's a white cross? You take it to the bottom right-hand corner here and wait for it to turn into a black cross. Not like black arrows like that. It has to be a white cross, has to turn into a black cross. So again, you have to click on the cell that you're interested in that has the formula written in it. You go to the bottom right-hand corner, wait for it to turn into a black cross, and you drag it down, and you'll notice it gives you data. You'll also notice, if you double-click this, the data that it's calculating with are highlighted in blue and red, and so it's very obvious what's going on. This blue one, D5, is being divided by this red one, F5. Pretty sweet. And again, if you don't want to get fancy with it, you can just say equals D5 divided by F5, or you could say equals click D6 and then hit the slash and then click F6. Wonderful. We're going to insert another column here. It's going to say percent open because we forgot that before. Shouldn't drag you guys into that. I forgot that before. Percent open there. Okay, we're going to do the same calculations here for our total in field 2. You're going to say equals sum H4 through I4 equals sum. Again, you could just click this one and then click that. Oh, I guess you click that one and then press shift and then click that one. Or again, you can just click, go to the bottom right hand corner, drag it down, and it'll bring the same formula down for you. It will get the correct data and life will be good. But you don't have to do that. That's just an option. So now we're going to calculate percent open, and again, that is the number open divided by the total. So we're going to say equals H4 because that is where our number open data lives, divided by J4 because that's where our total lives. Another thing you could do is you could just say equals and then click here and then put the slash and then click here. You can do it step by step in that fashion, or after you've written one thing, you can just click on a cell, go to the bottom right-hand corner, and drag it down. Great. The last trick I'm going to show you is you could just select these data too, where we summed everything up, and you could just paste that here, and that will give you the right stuff. Or you could have selected these four and pasted that data there, and that'll give you the right information as well. Okay. Oops, did I mess something up? Doesn't matter. I'm going to do this again just to make sure everyone's crystal clear. So if I want to do this sort of manually, I would type in equals. And what's the function that we want to do? We want to say sum, open parentheses, L4. Oops, you have to click and drag, I guess, through M4 equals sum. We could just type this L5 through M5 if we wanted to do it like that. L6 through M6. Great. And again, we'll calculate the percent open. The formula for percent open is the number open divided by the total. So we're going to say equals, where does our number open live? That lives in L4 divided by N4. We're going to say L5 divided by N5. I think I messed this formula up. I did. No, I didn't. Messed this formula. No, I didn't. Okay, it's all good. I'm doing it right. And if you think you messed it up, you can double click on it and it'll show you which data it's working with specifically. So we'll go down here and we're going to say equals L6 divided by N6. Great, so this gives us all of our percent opens. I'm going to zoom back out. Zoom to 200% here. This gives us all of our percent opens for each plant, for each field. Now we kind of need to make some summary statistics where we put this data together. So we're going to say average, oops, my caps lock is on, average percent open. And we want to take the average from each field, or we want to take the number percent open from each field and average them. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to do kind of the same thing we did before. Whenever you are trying to get an Excel to run a function for you, you hit the equal sign and you start typing the function that you want to do. So in this case, the function that we want to do is the average function. So we're going to type in equals average, open parentheses, and we're going to specify G4, comma, K4, comma, O4, because that's where all of our percent open numbers are. Okay, another way we could do this is we could say equals average, and we could just click G5, and then if you press and hold the control key, you can click the next number. I think on Mac that might be the Apple key. I'm not 100% sure. It might be the function key, but you can play around with it and figure that out. And then you press control, and you can get this one as well. Great. We're going to do the same thing here. Or, since we've already written the function, you can go to the bottom right-hand corner and drag it down and get numbers. But we don't necessarily want to do that. Maybe you didn't follow along. So you just hit equals average, and then go ahead and select all the data you want. And the data that you want is the percent opens from each field. Great. So now we have averages, average percent opens for each plant, which is fantastic. And here comes the reason why we need to be in Excel, because we are going to calculate the standard deviation. Okay, don't worry about this, like how to get this number or anything like that. We're going to do it in Excel. I'm not going to make you have to do it IRL. So the way that you get that is we're going to write another Excel function, and it's going to tell us about the variation that exists between all of our percent opens. Because again, you have this average number, but it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. Like I was saying in class, it's kind of like if you go to the Bill Gates household and ask what the average income is there, it's going to be billions and billions of dollars, right? Regardless of how much money Melinda makes or whatever, whoever his kids are makes. Anyway, we need to know about the variation between these averages. So we're going to calculate a standard deviation. The formula for this is equals STDEV, and we'll do a population standard deviation. Don't worry about what that means necessarily, but STDEV.P, yeah, that's the sample. We're doing population. Okay, then you're going to open parentheses, and we're going to select G4, and then you're going to press and hold shift and get K4, and then you're going to press and hold and shift and get O4. Those are our three average percent opens, and it gives you a standard deviation that's around 2%. Pretty low. That's pretty good. So we'll do the same thing. We'll do the same thing here. Equals STDEV.P. And we're going to get our 3% opens. So here's percent open, press hold control or the Apple button or whatever it happens to be, press and hold control and get this one. And we've got them all. Now you can either go to the bottom right hand corner, like we could have done this from the beginning. You can go to the bottom right hand corner and drag this formula down because we already wrote it once. But let's just do this one more time. Equals STDEV, and this time we'll just go ahead and manually type in the values. We'll say G6, comma K6. What's wrong here? Comma O6. Did we do that right? I think we did it right. Let's see what happens if we just grab this and drag it down. Oh, we were calculating a different standard deviation. So make sure it's equals STDEV.P, population standard deviation, percent open, press and hold control, get this percent open, press and hold control, get this percent open. Great. So now we have our average percent open for each plant, and we have our standard deviations for each plant for all three fields. I'm going to go ahead and just cut and paste this over and move it around so I can throw in plant 1, plant 2, oops, plant 2, and plant 3. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to visually represent our data. So what you do is you can just click and drag to select these 6 boxes, the plants and their average percent opens. You can even do it like this. We'll see what that gives us. And then you go up to Insert, and then we're going to go to Recommended Chart. It's going to be a clustered column, I believe, so you can go ahead and find that if you feel like doing it. I'm just going to go to Recommended Charts. And there it is. It's prepared for us just like this. And it's showing us that it is graphing the average percent open. Let me zoom out here so we can see this. It's showing us that it's graphing the average percent open of each plant. Great. But we still have one more thing to contend with. We still have this issue of the standard deviations. So how do we actually plot those standard deviations on this chart? Well, if you click this green plus here, for some folks working with Mac, you're going to have to go up to the top and click on a thing called Chart Elements. But after you've clicked Chart Elements, it's basically going to take you to the same spot as clicking this green arrow. And then you're going to go down to Error Bars and click Error Bars. Now, Excel puts these error bars on here, but they're fake. I have no idea what they're supposed to mean. They don't mean anything to me. So you go ahead and you click this error bars thing right here, and then you go to this arrow facing right, and you click that. It's tempting to go to standard deviation because that's what we're actually going to be graphing here, but don't do it. Go to more options. Excel doesn't really know what standard deviations are. So let's do that all again. So you click the green plus, you click the check mark, or you click on the box for error bars, and then you click on the arrow that's facing right, and you go more options. So it might start you off on one of these other boxes here, but you want to click on this like bar chart here. Okay, that's the one, the vertical error bar, whatever that, or I'm sorry, the error bar options. And you go ahead and click custom. And again, I don't know what Excel is doing here. I don't know where it's getting these values from, but I think it's just making them up, but that's all right. You click specify value, and you click this arrow here. You click and drag down there. To get the negative error bar value, you click there, and you go ahead and while holding shift, you click and drag down and get all those values there. Great. And it shows us that these two error bars are fairly small and that plant 3 has kind of a very, very wide margin in its error bars. I don't remember which plant is which as I'm telling you this. I'm just showing you this is kind of how I'm going to want the data presented. All right, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so if you fully understood that, you can stop watching now. If you didn't fully understand that, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it a little bit slower. All right, so let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of all these. Oh, I forgot I'm in Excel, so you can't do this easily. That's okay. So we'll get rid of our totals and our percent opens. Get rid of our totals here. All right. So we have our open and our closed, and we need to be able to calculate our totals. So the way you're going to do that, and I said I was going to do it slower. I'm not actually going to do it slower. I'm just going to do it all one way. I'm going to do it the exact same way. So I'm going to type in equals sum, and we want to sum the data that lives in D4 and the data that lives in E4. So I'm going to say D4, comma, E4. Do it again. Equals sum D5, comma, E5 equals sum D6, comma, E6. And again, you're just adding up the data that's happening in these two cells. Now we've got our percent open. The formula for percent open is the number open divided by the total. So you're going to say equals D4 divided by F4. 80%, that's great, equals D5 divided by F5 equals D6 divided by E6. And you know, if you put your data in the same format as mine, the same cells, you can actually just copy exactly what I'm doing. But if you do that, it's got to be everything exactly the same. Let's go to calculator totals again, equals sum H4 through I4 equals sum H5, comma I5 equals sum H6, comma I6. Got all our totals there. Now again, exactly the same. H4 is where our open is, and we're going to divide that by J4 because that's where our total is. H5 divided by J5, H6 divided by J6. And again, these things are highlighted, so it shows you specifically which pieces of data you are working with. Let's do the same thing. Let's get rid of these. Let's do the same thing here. Total, so equals L4, comma M4. Adding together, sum of L4, comma M4. You're just adding together, you're summing everything in L4 and everything in M4. Equals sum L5, comma M5, not period, comma M5 equals sum L6, comma M6. And we're going to calculate the percent open. Equals L4, comma, divided by, that slash sign means divided by, N4 equals L5 slash N5 equals L6 slash N6. Perfect. And now we're going to calculate average percent open for each plant. The way you do that is by writing an Excel function again. So you're going to hit equals average, and then you're going to click G4, which is the percent open, and then actually we'll just specify that. We'll say equals average G4 and then comma K4, because that's where your percent open for your field 2 lives, comma O4, because that's where your percent open for your third field lives for plant 1. Great, our average is like 82%. We're going to do the same thing again. Equals average. We're going to look over here. We need to go to G5, comma K5, comma O5. Do it again, equals average. K6, ooh, no, sorry. G6, comma K6, comma O6. Great, I did something wrong. Average. G6, comma K6, comma O6. What is happening? Why am I? Oh, because something went wrong. Equals D6 slash F6. Now our averages are correct. Okay, I just made a mistake early in the game. All right, now we have to calculate standard deviations for all of these. So we're going to hit equals stdev.p, population standard deviation, and we're going to say G4, comma K4, comma O4. And again, standard deviation tells you that there is some variation amongst your averages. It's not just one number. It's like saying, well, the average height of a man is 5'9", so all men are 5'9". No, that's not the case at all. There's a ton of variation, and standard deviation just helps you to know that. So now we're going to hit equals stdev.p, and we are going to say G5, comma K5, comma O5. We're going to do the same thing again for plant 3. We're going to say equals stdev.p, and we're going to say G6, comma K6, comma O6. And now we're going to go ahead and insert that chart one more time. You select all of these data here. You do not select the standard deviation data. You leave those out for now. You select all of these. You go up to the top and you go to Insert. Should be the same on Mac or PC. You go to Recommended Charts. You want a clustered column. If it tries to do something else, change it because you don't want any of these other ones. You want clustered column. You hit OK or press Return. And now we need to figure out how do we add those standard deviation error bars, because we want to know that there's variation here. Like this isn't just the one number for these plants, right? There was a huge amount of variation in the percent opens. So you go up to the little plus and you click error bars, and then you click the right facing arrow here. You click the right facing arrow and go more options. You click on the one that says error bar options. If you're on a Mac, it's up here somewhere. It's going to be in error bar options. Then you go to custom, and then you click specify value. You click this button here, or alternatively, you could enter the value by hand. So you could say equals R4. I think it might need these little wiggly parentheses. Equals R4 through R6. See if that works. It'll be the same for this. R4 through R6. It doesn't work. So it's easier to just just go ahead and specify the value. You click this button here, this little up arrow, and then you click on these three. You do the same thing for negative error bar values. Don't worry about the data it's putting in here. None of that's important. The dollar signs, exclamation points aren't important right now. Just hit return, return, and it should give you the average percent open for each of your plants with error bars. Then what you can do is just go ahead and click this and press Control C. Or alternatively, I'll do it so you can actually see exactly what I'm doing. You right click on it and you go to copy, open up a Word doc, and you can go ahead and just paste it into a Word doc and then type up your report about stomata.